show. Talking Sunderland and everything you know.
Conrad's got the numbers, proper stats machine. Mike's optimistic, living out the Mackems dream. Bowers keeps it steady, cool and level-headed. Wayne's already moaning, man, I'm shattered, I need my bed.
Baby, are you ready to go? Let's get carried away, man. Let's steal the show. Midweek Mackems every Wednesday night. Veterans passion in the red and white.
What's up, Sunderland fans? Welcome to this edition of Midweek Mackems. We're going to have to forego a bit of the banter this week, and we've got all the lads to do a pre-recording for the show. Because of our schedules, families and stuff like that over the Christmas period, and it being Christmas Eve, of course, when this goes out, it just wasn't possible to get us all live at the same time. We will be back with live shows as soon as possible. But the first thing I asked the lads was what they thought of the last game.
Hello, you lovely lot. So, even though we're not live, we're still giving our thoughts.
Yeah, so the last game against Brighton, you'd have taken a point before the game started. But then at the end of it, it felt a bit weird and a bit like we should have probably won that the way we were playing. I think for the first 75, maybe 80 minutes, we were far the better team. Just couldn't get that creativity going, which has been a problem for most of this season. I mean, I know we're doing absolutely fantastic, but scoring loads of goals or creating loads of chances has been the one issue, which hopefully we address in January. But it just felt a bit like, okay, if we keep going, we'll get a chance. But we were lacking quite a bit of quality from AFCON this period. And but I did think the people who came in, i.e. your Chris Rigg, your Adingra who came in, Gatreda who came straight back in, Hume who came straight back in, thought they did fantastically well. I think Adingra was really well managed in terms of his forward contributions rather than his defensive ones. We know that's been the issue with him, sort of defensive wise has been the one. So I think they did well to use him as an outlet rather than sort of relying on him to do the job of Talby or Traore just because he doesn't do that or can't do that at the moment. I really do think we have to keep playing Brobby. The ball sticks up front with Brobby and gives us a chance to get out a bit more. When we put Isidore on for the end of a game, it just felt like, right, this is the bit where Brighton come back into it because the ball was just coming straight back each time. And I like Isidore, but I think if you're going to start someone, you start Isidore just because of the legs at first, and you put Brobby on as the bruiser at the end. But Brobby is showing his quality, so I think he's good to start. Brobby, that is. Rigg, thought was pretty decent. Nothing too flashy in that. He's still learning his way, but I think under the guidance of Xhaka, he did really well. And Enzo's just proven to be an absolute quality player wherever he's playing across the middle of our pitch. So all in all, happy with a point. Disappointed we didn't win in the end.
I thought, when we saw the lineup against Brighton, I thought it was pretty much as I expected it was always going to be a case of who was going to come in for the players away. Ended up where Trey Hume played left back, Chris Rigg came in, Adingra came in, and Gertrude came in. First off, I thought we did really well first off, to be fair. When I saw Brighton's lineup, I thought they were there for the taking. Nee Van Hecker, Nee Welbeck, we knew Belieber wasn't playing, so they had a kind of really, patched up side, as did we, of course. But I thought if we played our game, we'd beat them. In the first half, I was disappointed again at half time, not winning the game. We played some lovely football. Adingra got in some great positions, but again with him, the final ball, he looks a little bit weak, and his final ball was just lacking. Rigg on the other side did alright, but obviously he's not a winger, so he kind of struggled. The fear was looking good first half, being his usual energetic self, looking to create chances. Xhaka the same in midfield, we running the show, but we just couldn't get that killer pass, and frustratingly as well, we didn't get Brobby into the game, which we need to work on to get our centre forwards in the game. We're not doing that at the minute, so disappointing for it again at half time 0-0. And second half, they're going to come out and they're going to give it a right go. They couldn't be as bad in the second half as they were in the first, and that proved to be the case. They had most of the play second half. However, we probably had, the best chance from Alderete, a great header I think it was just after half time on it. Straight at the goalkeeper for Bruggen. I decided it's a goal. We don't take the chance, and then from there, Brighton kind of dominated the rest of the second half, and I was really, really pleased to get away with a point after the last 25 minutes, half an hour of the game. So overall, it's a great point. Couldn't have wished for anything more. Yes, would have liked the 3, but I did see in the video I did earlier on and last week in this show that a point away from home after beating the Mags would be a great result. Brighton's a difficult place to get into, and I'm more than happy with that.
Thanks again to everyone who watches the Midweek Mackems. It's much appreciated. Every weekend, the amount of people that turn out to watch it is absolutely incredible. Obviously, I think Brighton were missing one player at least through AFCON, and they were missing Duncan Gomez through suspension. But bear in mind, that's and Welbeck as well, so they are big losses for them. But at the same time, we were also missing Reynaldo, Sadiki, not Diarra, but Reynaldo, Sadiki, Talbi, Traore. Okay, Masuaku doesn't start. But we were missing a fair few key players ourselves, and I think with Reynaldo and Sadiki, we noticed I think I certainly, to an extent anyway, noticed the lack of athleticism there in their place. Now, I thought Hume actually did pretty well at left back, but I think when you're missing players of Reynaldo and Sadiki's quality, I've been so hectic the last few days, so my my throat has been playing up a little bit. But I think what was quite encouraging was that despite those losses, Gertruda played well in midfield, Hume played well at left back, and in general in the first hour I thought we actually really controlled the game, and the only thing we didn't do wrong in the first half in particular was go in front. We didn't make our advantage count. We didn't sort of get our noses in the lead. I think we would have deserved it in the first half. Brighton offered next to nothing, and I think that was down to how good Sunderland performed and how good we played. But you know what? It says something that you're disappointed at half time not to be 1-0 up. And even in the first 15 minutes of the second half, I still thought Sunderland were pretty good. But obviously the game kind of changed towards the latter stages of it when, like I said, Matoma came on for Brighton, when we know how good he is. And I think it was just, that and a mixture of the lack of subs, in terms of subs that the Bruce would like to make, I'd imagine, with the players being away at AFCON, I think that was always going to have a bit of an impact. And the last 30 minutes, I think Brighton did really start to get on top of us. And I think towards the end, I was quite relieved to come away with a point. And I would have took that before kick-off, to be fair. I think a point of Brighton is not to be sniffed at. Newcastle and Man City, 2 of last season's top 5, went there and lost this season. So I think you've just got to hurl your hands up and just say, in my opinion, it's a good point.
Which then leaves us 27 points, 27 points. 13 points from safety before Christmas is an absolutely unreal achievement.
I did commentary on the last game, and yeah, I was a bit disappointed, to be fair, in the final result. I do think we deserved the win. I hated seeing us sit back in the last 20 minutes, but it is what it is. But I think the lads pretty much covered all the points just there. Now, what do they think of the season so far? And obviously, going into January, we're going to start to think about transfers.
Like I say, any Sunderland fan must be in dreamland. It's absolutely fantastic, and to be only 4 wins and a draw away from safety with the whole of the second half of the season again. I mean, what a time to be a Sunderland fan, and let's hope we can get them 13 points as quickly as possible, and then start looking up and see how high we can finish. But overall, what a season so far, capped off by obviously beating the Mags. That's just kind of topped everything off. Obviously beating Chelsea and getting draws with Liverpool and Arsenal, a great result, but to beat them kind of tops everything off, absolutely tops everything off, and I'm absolutely buzzing at the minute. And let's long may it continue.
I mean, the season so far has been fantastic. I mean, it looks now like I was being incredibly pessimistic with how we were going to perform this season, but I know even the most optimistic of us, Mike, wouldn't have imagined this is where we were going to be and how many teams we were going to beat along the way. Just, the team has gelled so well together. What was it, 14 new players, an entirely new team. I think the only sort of constants you could say are Isidore, Ballard and Hume, who've done fantastically well and levelled up to play in the Premier League. And now it's just about sort of making sure that we're a bit more of a threat going forward. A few more chances per game, I would say, is what we need to be. But honestly, fantastic. I thought, especially with the way the newly promoted sides have gone in the previous years, we were going to be, I'd have liked to have thought we'd have been around where Forest and Leeds are at this point rather than looking at Burnley and Wolves. But, we've surpassed that. I think we've got double the points of some of those teams there. So we're actually looking into the top 10, potentially Europe. So it's been fantastic. There's only one criticism I've got so far this season, which would have been the way we started against Man United, because it came up the other night and they went, only Sunderland are the team not to score against Man United this season, which kind of showed with the way we set up in the first few minutes there. But, that's our one proper mistake this season, shall we say.
I do get the concerns for some about scoring goals, but I think at the end of the day, if we're continuing to be good enough at the back, the goals will come, because I think that, I remember we have scored in quite a few games this season. So I think from my point of view, I think that in January, to sort of link it on to January, because I think that's an issue, that do we need to recruit more attacking play in January? Possibly. Me personally, how I think it'll go though is that I do think we will see us try to perfect the midfield and the defence, because then next season, when profit sustainability gets replaced by squad cost ratio, in other words, when PSR gets replaced by SCR, then I think an SCR, bearing in mind under that, you're allowed to spend 85% of your turnover on the first team. So I think that'll give us a lot of wiggle room for next summer. And I think next summer is where you'll really see Sunderland push the incentive to go and sign a couple of really big attacking quality players. And I'm talking like Prem good level attacking players. But you never know, if something happens in January, I can more than see Sunderland trying to at least ask the question. But I think that's something that we're going to do next summer, really, when I think we're going to have even a bit more scope. And I know our PSR situation is quite good apparently, but it's not going to be a limitless pot, is it? It's going to be quite a it's going to have some limit to some extent, but it's going to be an interesting time in January to be sort of a Sunderland fan, really. And we'll see how that sort of pans out, really. But to sort of round off, if you look at to be fair though, in general, if you look at the season so far, I just think we can't grumble, really. We're going to be 6th in the Premier League at Christmas. Okay, how we get on against Leeds dictates if we stay there. But I'll get onto Leeds in a minute. But the fact of the matter is the season so far has just been absolutely fantastic, and I don't think anyone can objectively say otherwise. I think that obviously, look, the league is tight at the minute. It is very congested, sort of around that middle part of the pitch. The only area where it's really not congested is probably arguably the top 3, and then Wolves down the bottom. So, and even Burnley to a lesser extent down the bottom. So I think it's going to be, it's very tight. It's very, very sort of it's very tight and very fraught with a lot of teams within close proximity to each other, but it says something, doesn't it? And I think we've got to be immensely proud of the way it's gone. And particularly the last 7 months or so of 2025 has just been a complete roller coaster ride, but in a good way for once, because goodness knows we've had some of the bad ways. But yeah, the season so far has gone far better than anything I could have expected. Yeah, maybe there's an issue of wanting to score more goals, but in general, I think we've far exceeded our own expectations, let alone anyone else's. And I couldn't be prouder of the way the team's gone about this. I couldn't be prouder of the way the players have gone, of the application the players have shown. I couldn't be more proud of how well we've recruited. I couldn't be more proud of how well we've seemed to have adapted to Premier League football. And I think that obviously a lot was made of the gap between the Premier League and the Championship, and that is still there. But I think we've been proof that you can do it. You just have to invest incredibly well. But by the by, great 2020 summer so far. Great season so far, rather. And I think for once, it's actually quite nice to look forward to the next window and be happy as a Sunderland fan. And remember that, because we deserve to have this after everything we put up with.
Now, even though we're not live, I'm still going to do a Who Am I? So this is a Who Am I ahead of the Leeds game. So I'll just read these out, and you can guess as we go along, and I'll give you the answers at the end. So, the first one. I came through Sunderland's youth system and broke through as a highly rated young attacker. I moved to Leeds in the late 90s for a big fee and had my best years there. Injuries seriously disrupted what could have been a top level career. I later had spells involving both Newcastle and a return to Sunderland. I ended up becoming a familiar voice in football media. So you should have gotten that one. That one, of course, was Michael Bridges. So played for Sunderland 1995 to 1999, 79 games, 16 goals. He then went to Leeds 1999 to 2004, 56 games, 19 goals. He then came back to Sunderland, if you remember, 2004, 8 games, 1 goal, but a great forward, and career kind of decimated by injuries. Now, the second one, I'm known as a left-sided set-piece specialist. I made hundreds of appearances for Leeds before leaving for Spain. My Sunderland stint was short with only a handful of games. I later played for clubs further down the pyramid and still scored plenty from deep. I won over managers because of delivery and my dead ball threat. So, who's that? That one, of course, is Ian Hart. Played for Leeds 1996 to 2004, 213 games. He then played for Sunderland 2007 to 2008, only played 8 games. Later remembered, obviously, as becoming an agent in the Jack Clark saga, where we believe Jack Clark was seeing his daughter at the time. And, Jack Clark obviously went Ipswich as part of him engineering that move for him. So that one's Ian Hart. Third one then. I'm an Irish midfielder who had loan spells at Leeds from a major Premier League club. I later joined Sunderland and was part of a promotion-winning side. I scored against one of my former clubs shortly after switching allegiances. I was capped by my country and played across multiple leagues and continents. My career is remembered with real affection by several fan bases. So who's that one? That one is, of course, the late, great Liam Miller. Sadly passed away when he was only 36-year-old. But he played for Leeds 2005, 2006, 28 games on loan. He then played for Sunderland 2006, 2009, played 57 games. Fourth one then. I am a Sunderland lad who spent over a decade in the first team. Should get that from that clue. After leaving, I had 2 separate loan spells at Leeds. I played mainly left back, left wing back, and was known for my relentless running. My Sunderland appearances are in the 300 plus range. You must have it by now. I became a regular voice in North East football media. It is, of course, Michael Gray. Played for Sunderland 1992 to 2004, 363 games, and then Leeds in 2005 and 2007, where he played 16 games in total on loan. Now, the fifth one. I played centre-back and captained one of these clubs. I joined Sunderland in the late 90s and was part of a promotion push. I moved to Leeds in the mid-2000s and played a lot of games there. I represented a national side despite being born in England. My career was built on reliability rather than headlines. So that one's for maybe the older fans. It was Paul Butler, who I think played for Republic of Ireland. So Sunderland 1998 to 2001, 79 games. Leeds 2004-2007, 99 games. Next one, and who am I? I am a centre-back who played for Sunderland in the mid-2000s. I joined Leeds initially on loan before making it permanent. I later moved into management. I was known as a no-nonsense organiser at the back. I've been described as someone who helps steady a side chasing momentum. So that one is actually Neil Collins. Sunderland 2004-2007, played 18 games. He then played 30 games for Leeds in 2010-2011. Number 7, I played for a giant club early on and had a very short Sunderland spell on loan. I became a significant player for Leeds and featured in Europe with them. I was used in multiple positions across defence and midfield. Fans remember me for bravery and versatility. My career story includes big matches and big injury battles. So that one, you can probably just forget his Sunderland career. But it was Dominic Matteo. In 1995, played 1 game on loan for us. Then he went to Leeds 2000 to 2004, where he played 115 games. Last one, so this is for the really old fans. I played for Sunderland in the 1950s as a deep-lying forward. I later joined Leeds, and that's where my legend truly exploded. I became one of the most influential managers in English football history. My plan even became a named tactical idea. My name is inseparable from Leeds' identity. Now, I didn't know this, but he played for Sunderland 1956 to 1958, 64 games, 15 goals. He played for Leeds 1958-1962, 76 games, 11 goals. It was, of course, the great Don Revie. Now, I didn't know he played for Sunderland. That's a new one on me. So Don Revie played for Sunderland before he played for Leeds. So that's my little Who Am I quiz, just to keep you a bit interested. I hope you got some of them right. You should have gotten a lot of them right. Maybe it's the older fans as well for Don Revie. But on to Leeds.
That's right, Wayne. Next up is Leeds. So, what do we think going into Leeds? For me, the only change I want to see from last week is I want to see Mundle start. I want to see him get some game time. I think he's an absolute threat and he could really put some shock and awe into that game.
I imagine we'll play very similar to how we did against Leeds. I think you've got Roofs at the back, Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete and Hume. I think they're the settled back four. Xhaka and Gutredo will probably in the midfield. I think Gutredo's proving to be a fantastic utility man for us and has played left centre-back, right centre-back, midfielder. I think we almost need to make that permanent just because of how much of a utility player he can be for us there. And then, like I say, Rig and Enzo were sort of interchangeable on that sort of right-hand side, that centre of midfield, so I'd still stick with that one. Adingra probably gets the nod for me, just I want to give him a run now while these players are out just to see if he really does have it for us there. And then Brobby has to start for me up top still, I think, just to bully their centre-backs a bit there. And then, even though Isidore's arguably one of his best goals last season did come away at Ellen Road, but we're at the Stadium of Light, so I imagine we'll go that back four that play pretty much the same team that played Brighton. No one drops out for me out of that one there. If anyone were to come in, you could see Mundle getting some minutes instead of Rig maybe, and Adingra moving over to the right-hand side. But I think that's probably where we'll go. It would be nice to see Mayenda get some minutes there, and hopefully we can allow that. But I don't think he plays over Isidore or Brobby, so I think if he was going to come on, he'd be a winger. And you've got Sirkin as well on the bench. I'd like to see him get some minutes just in case an injury or a knock came to anyone in the back. But, same team that played against Brighton for me, I think, is the way we'll go.
So if I had to guess a lineup, I'd imagine it would be, the goalkeeper and back four would be the same. But for those who can't remember, it's to be Roofs, Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete, Hume. Then it would be Gertrude and Xhaka in the midfield. And now I think the three behind, maybe Isidore, I think, might start against Leeds. I would say Isidore start, but then behind him would probably be Lefay, Rig and Adingra. I think Adingra or Adingra, Rig on the right and Lefay in the 10. I don't know. I think that I'll be interested to see what we could do against the likes of Leeds. And I think, to be fair to Leeds, they are in a very, very, very good run of form. They've took 4 points off of Chelsea and Liverpool. They've beaten Chelsea. They've thrashed Crystal Palace last time out. And they got a creditable draw away at Brentford, who have been very good at home this season. But I do think with Leeds, this is a game that I think if we can get a good result in, and by good result I mean beat them, really. But it's not easy. No game's easy in the Premier League. No matter how many people try to put that down due to an easy fixture start for us, we were told at the start of the season, no game is easy, and I'm still sticking by that. Not a single game in the Premier League is easy.
They're coming here on a high. They've just spanked Crystal Palace 4-1. They'll be coming here, buoyant and wanting to continue that run. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's in form. I think he scored in 5 in a row. So it's going to be a difficult game. They're going to come up here full of joy and full of vigour and wanting to get that 3 points. However, I do think we might have too much for them at home. We know Fortress Stadium Light. I think it's going to be an attacking game. I think they'll come here for a point. They've switched that 5 at the back, haven't they? Which has kind of worked for them really, really well. Our lineup, I think, we might possibly just make one change. I'd probably have Roofs in goal. I'd have Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete and Hume, Gertrude, Xhaka and Lefay with Lefay, Adingra. I'd have Mundle on the right hand side and Brobby. I'd have Mundle in for Chris Rig. I just think Mundle gives us more of an attacking threat. Now against Chris Rig, he came in and did alright, but he's not a winger. If you're going to play Chris Rig, you've got to play him in the middle. So for me, Mundle would come in for that attacking threat. There's cases and all for Isidore to play on the left hand side. I'd love to see him on the left hand side coming in from there. That's what we're signing him as, and I think he will be really effective because he's direct. But I think Adingra will get everyone in the side. But that's my lineup for Leeds.
Conrad got away with not doing a prediction there, so we'll make sure he puts it into the comments. My prediction for this one is going to be a close game. It's going to be 3-2 to Sunderland, a high-scoring game, an absolute chaotic one. I'm not going to be able to do a live commentary this week on this channel, unfortunately. Obviously, I'm away with family due to the festive period.
I think at home, I've got a good feeling we'll have enough to edge it, but don't be surprised if Leeds get something, because they've been on a very, very good run of form, and performances have got a lot better. So whether they sustain this, we'll wait and see. Time will tell on that one. But for me personally, I would probably go with a 2-1 to Sunderland. I've got a feeling that hopefully at home it will have enough to help us beat Leeds. It won't be an easy game, but we'll wait and see how it ends up panning out.
Like I say, I do think it's going to be a really, really difficult game. You know, potential banana skin for us. You know, we've had some great results at home this season so far. We are unbeaten, but you know, this is the type of game where we could come unstuck. But having said that, I do think we'll have too much for Leeds. I'm going to go for Sunderland 2, Leeds United 0. I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores. I think his run comes to an end against us on Sunday. So Sunderland 2, Leeds United 0. That's my score prediction. And
by the way, guys, and obviously this is the last game of 2025. And if you take a step back and appreciate how mental 2025 has been for Sunderland fans, it's just amazingly incredible when you really stop and think about it. It's just been absolutely outstanding, particularly the last 7 months of it. But so hopefully we can end 2025 with a Sunderland victory at the Stadium of Light. And I think, more than anything now, again, it's just nice to be excited going into a January window and the thought of what we could do and who we could attract and who we could bring in. Because I believe in the Premier League, we should be a very attractive draw to a lot of top-end players. And especially even more so given the start we've had. But deal with that when we come. We'll get Leeds out of the way first and then get the next festive fixtures out of the way.
Thank you all for watching. You know, we've started this several weeks ago, and it's one of the best parts of our weeks each time. So, you know, appreciate we couldn't do this one live. We've all got family commitments, shall we say, and I'm hoping you all enjoy it before, you know, Christmas Day tomorrow. So, Merry Christmas to every one of you, and you know, or Feliz Navidad or Police Navidad or whatever they say anymore. And I hope you all have a lovely time with your family, and we'll see you again probably in a preview for Leeds on this channel. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Thanks to everybody who watches. It means so much. Just want to wish you all an absolute Merry Christmas. Hopefully you get what you want for Christmas, but most importantly, cherish the time with your loved ones, because obviously, you know, life is, well, crap or shit at the moment for a lot of people, and it's obviously, and Christmas can be a very difficult time for themselves. So just enjoy time with your loved ones, whether it's family, whether it's your own friends, or whoever else it is, whoever you're close to. Cherish them and enjoy them. Life's very short, and I think as well, you know, it's well, remember that's what main thing what Christmas is about, you know. And if that, none of that brings you joy, just look at the Premier League table and look at that fact we're 6th. Take care, you lovely lot. Happy Christmas. I really do hope everybody is well. And once again, thanks ever so much to everyone who watches. It honestly means the world to us. Without you lot, we would just be 4 guys rambling to ourselves. Well, I do that anyway, but you know. Take care, stay safe, and as always, how are the lads?
A massive Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody who's watched, subscribed, and enjoying the Midweek Mackems. Love doing this show. You know, love these 3 to bits. You know, it's been class since we started it. It makes it all the more sweeter the way that we've actually started the season. So it's class. Looking forward to the second half of the season. I hope you get all you want for Christmas. I'll settle for 3 points against Leeds and 3 points more closer to that magic 40 points mark. But please don't forget to subscribe to all 3 channels. Only for us in SAFC. Currently only 15 subs away from 5k. Also Black Cats TV and Michael Bowers. 2 great channels. Like, share, subscribe and hype if you don't mind. And we'll see you in the new year. See you later.
So, thank you for joining us on this special edition of Midweek Mackems. I hope you have a really awesome Christmas. I hope Sunderland get the victory against Leeds and we all go into a very happy new year. And guess what? Mike said 6th by the end of January. Trust in Mike. See you in the next one. Goodbye.
Midweek Mackems, we're back on the show. Talking Sunderland and everything you know.